This is George Gillis with tip number 4 of 12 mindset tips for improved performance. People are not their behaviors. In other words, accept the person, change the behavior. Let me ask you, have you ever been in a really foul mood? I mean, just mean, miserable. Maybe you were hungry, had a headache, you just didn't want to deal with anyone. Is that who you are? Of course not. After all, people who know you well have seen you at your worst, and they know that's not who you are, right? So recognize that the person's behavior is the best indication of how they're feeling at the moment, but it's not who they are. The behavior is just a snapshot in time. It's a momentary glimpse of the end result of all the processing that's going on inside their head. If you take a look at this graphic, you can start to understand that we respond to our internal representation of the world. It's the meaning that we assign in our head. And it's also influenced by things as complex as our emotional state and as simple as whether or not we've had enough sleep or if we're hungry and tired. This diagram explains the process. Think about this. An external event takes place. You see something, hear, feel, smell, taste something. That event goes through a series of filters. Some are old and deeply rooted, such as your values and beliefs, your attitudes, your memories. And then your mind even distorts, deletes, and generalizes this information so it can make sense of it all. Then there's other filters that give meaning to the event. At that moment, what's your mental state, your emotional state, your physical state? Are you tired? Are you excited? Are you hungry or ill? Have you been resting well, or are you sleepy or full of energy? Did you just have a great laugh with friends or an argument with your spouse? All of these things affect your internal representation and the meaning that you give to that event, and thus your behavior. But all others see is the behavior, how you respond or react to that external event. Let me repeat that. The only thing that others see is your behavior. That's how you respond or react to the external event. So knowing what you know now, you can realize the behavior is not the person. It's simply the visible external end of the internal subconscious processes. Even positive behaviors aren't indicators of who the person is. Many performers, actors, and singers are bigger than life on stage. That's their behavior. And they're very shy and introverted in real life. They take on a larger-than-life persona because that's their job. They love what they do. And when they're alone or with family and friends, many will tell you they're shy, even introverted. The behavior is what we see. It's who their audience believes them to be. But it's just an act. It's an external behavior. Have you ever accused someone of being their behavior? Or have you ever been accused? Now, we're not going to get into the names that sometimes we call each other, realizing that calling somebody a blank doesn't mean that they are a blank. It's simply the external behavior. It's the end result of the subconscious process. It's an act that they're doing at that moment. Can you think of times when someone behaved maybe in an inappropriate way and you thought, wow, man, that's who they are? Well, knowing what you know now, I wonder if you can imagine a new way to respond to their behaviors. Think of a time now when you acted in a certain way, perhaps to fit in with a group. How did that feel? Do you think others noticed? Because you acted a certain way. Is that who you are? Is that who you were? In a sales situation, have you ever encountered a strange behavior only to find the person was testing you? I remember walking into an appointment one time with a repo guy. I was in the promotional products business. Big man sitting behind his desk with tattoos, the whole deal. And I'm standing there in a suit carrying my briefcase, and he's got a .357 Magnum handgun in his hand. And he looks up at me and says, "Who the F are you? What the F are you selling?" Starts cursing me out. So I put my briefcase down and I looked back at him, and I just mirrored and matched his exact behavior and his words. And he got a big laugh out of it. And I went and sat down with him, and we talked about guns for a few minutes. And then he told me that that's his standard operating procedure just to see if a salesperson is going to stand up to him, because if they cower and walk away, he didn't want to deal with them. But because I mirrored and matched him and fed it right back to him, we had a great relationship and he became a very, very good customer. So remember, they might just be testing you. How do you respond if the person you're meeting treats you poorly or is acting in a way that you didn't expect or approve? What can you do in your mind to diffuse your desire to respond to their behavior and instead move past it and get to the conversation that's real and meaningful? When have you encountered someone who was acting in a way that seemed disingenuous? Did you want to be with them or do business with them? These are all things to think about, remembering that behavior is not the person, it's just a snapshot of a moment in time. And it might just be a conscious test. So what insights can you draw from this? How might you now start to think differently about people's behaviors? And knowing that people can only see your behavior, how might you change now? So as always, to learn more about neuro-linguistic programming, communication, sales, and more, visit my site at georgegillis.com. Contact me at george@georgegillis.com or 602-527-0142. Hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you on the next time.